Ladies and gentlemen, I am back from my National Guard training. I know. Where's my beard? I miss it too. When I was out there training, I had a little bit of time to go through some YouTube shorts, and I found some that I want to discuss, starting with this.
Police officers of Reddit. What criminal actually impressed you with their criminal skills? Saw this one on one of those police chase shows. Police dash cam showed the car in front of him was swerving all over the road in the middle of the night. He followed him for a while, then flipped on the lights to pull him over. Guy pulls over, and before the cop can do anything, he turns off the car, gets out, throws his keys into the woods, cracks open a brand new fifth of vodka, and chugs the whole thing down. Cut to the interview of the actual criminal with his voice and face obscured. He said he had already had multiple DUIs and had become something of an expert on drunk driving laws. He took advantage of a loophole wherein the cop didn't have time to see if he was actually drunk behind the wheel of the car. Chugging the vodka right there would immediately have an effect on any sobriety testing. He hadn't opened the vodka in the car, so no open container infraction, and he made sure his keys were most definitely out of reach. So there was no way that he could be operating a vehicle under the influence. Didn't know whether or not to be impressed or disgusted with his drunken ingenuity.
When I was going through driver's ed, I had a teacher, I won't say his name, but he told us if you're ever caught in a situation where you might think the police are, okay, he probably said if you're ever driving drunk, which is a bad thing to say to impressionable children. Just say, don't drive drunk. He was like, if you ever get caught, maybe intoxicated or appearing to be intoxicated, throw your keys out the window and then they can't prove you're driving, which is, no, that's not how that works. But there are elements of this that might. Let's go over it. First, you have the car swerving off the road, and that is an indicator of intoxication. At the very least, you're going to have, illegally crossing the center line, maybe wheels off roadway, something like that. Regardless, it would be enough to pull someone over. So the guy stops the car and turns it off and then gets out. And that's going to make an officer nervous. I wouldn't recommend doing that. But what he does is he opens a brand new fifth of vodka, which would be a bottle of vodka, chugs the whole thing. That's going to be a problem for a couple of reasons. One, that is probably going to be some sort of public intoxication, but it's not going to be an open container in the vehicle. So that part you got right. If you open the container outside of the vehicle and you don't put the container in the vehicle, it's not open container, which means that it's not an indicator that you were driving drunk. It is a separate thing, but it is not open container. Could be obstruction, though, if you're attempting to obstruct a DUI investigation. Now you think, well, why would this guy commit all these other crimes? Well, it's because he already had a few DUIs, apparently. Now, if you have enough DUIs in certain states, the punishments get very, very severe. So it's possible the punishments for all these smaller crimes is not going to be as bad as whatever he would have gotten for DUI. Also, if you've gotten DUI multiple times, maybe consider seeking help. Please, stop drinking and driving. The throwing of the keys into the woods thing doesn't really make sense to me. Never did, even going through driver's ed when I was getting that terrible advice. The officer saw the car bobbing and weaving, saw the guy get out of the driver's seat, saw him throw the keys into the woods, which might be another obstruction charge. So the officer knew the person was operating that motor vehicle in a manner that may be an indicator of intoxication. Whether or not the keys exist at that exact time is only really relevant if you're going to make an argument that this person was going to get back into the vehicle and then operate it while intoxicated. So sure, maybe it stops that part after the stop. I could see that. But prior to the stop, no. Obviously, he had the keys and he was operating that motor vehicle at that time. So that's not a really great argument. Plus, the guy was confessing this on TV. Was this before the trial? After the trial? A lot of questions. Not generally a good idea to make these statements on television at any point. Really at any point. Don't consider not doing that. Also consider not driving drunk. The idea of rendering the intoxilizer useless by chugging the alcohol, not actually a bad call, because it would. The readings from the intoxilizer would not be terribly effective. You wouldn't be able to say, yep, that tells us an accurate indication of how drunk the person was when he was operating the vehicle, but that alcohol wouldn't hit immediately. So the person was already indicating intoxication with the driving, and then the actions indicate that he's trying to hide his level of intoxication. Plus, the vodka's not going to hit you immediately. And this guy's already showing signs of some pretty intense intoxication if he's swerving all over the road. So it's not like, oh, am I a 0.7 or a 0.7? That would kill you. 0.7 would kill you. Am I a 0.07 or 0.09? I don't know. Let's just make this thing very difficult just in case. No, if he's already swerving around, he's probably quite a bit higher than that. So there are going to be, presumably, signs of intoxication between when he gets out of the car and when that alcohol hits. So that officer is going to be able to say, Your Honor, I saw this man driving in a manner that would indicate intoxication. He then engaged in activities which I believe were designed to obstruct our investigation into his level of intoxication. He doesn't have a history of intoxication, and he confessed to it on television. Yeah, so that loophole that he found, as much fun as it is, probably isn't going to help him too much.